All right, what's going on, everybody? It's Alan Thomas, aka Shadow Assassins. It's been a while since I've been back here on YouTube. I actually recorded a video recently with my new microphone that it's in here. It's getting sent back. It's a small little, what do you call them? I guess them little lapel mics. I broke it, so I need to send it back and get replaced already. Had it a week. In any event, I found myself trying to get better at crafting environments and just doing world building in general. Just trying to get a little more confident drawing backgrounds and whatnot. I still plan on doing like I did with Infinite Uppercut and just having, I guess, certain templates of backgrounds that I can use for different panels here and there, but I don't want to get in the habit of using that too much as a crutch. Just because when avoidable, I do want to have a practice of knowing what my background looks like. So I'm trying to get in the habit of doing a little bit more world building, drawing certain landscapes and environments and cities from different angles, just so I have an idea of where things are. I'm also trying to get in the habit of making maps of my environments as well, breaking down individual cities, like different countries or whatever that I may have in my story, which I don't imagine my story, if the world is going to be that broad to where I have a bunch of countries necessarily. Trying to keep in mind something along the lines of like Naruto, where it's just a bunch of different villages and whatnot, and they just make up, or the countries aren't as broad as you would think in terms of like real life, but they make up the entire world of Naruto. Trying to think along those lines. Just because stuff like that, it's necessary for the story that I'm creating, but it's not going to be too much of the world. Like, it's not about to be any grand exploration of traveling to different lands and all that other stuff. That has not a huge bearing, nor is it the important part of my story. I think the biggest part of my story that I can think of off the bat right now is colorful violence. I think that's what I keep telling myself. Colorful violence is what I'm aiming for in my story. If in some way I could think along the lines of my story being like a weird mix between, and not that it's going to look like this, but just in my mind, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in terms of color, or the outlandish appeal of my story visually, and then Berserk in terms of violence. If I can get somewhere in between there, I feel like I'm okay. And I do mean in between. I don't need anything going as extreme as Berserk, because there's a lot of crazy things in there, but in terms of brutality and violence, that's where my mind's at, which I'll elaborate on stuff like that a lot more down the line. But yeah, I'm also trying to figure out like just things that I haven't thought about before that I'm trying to take into account with this new comic of mine. And the big thing is, I want to make a comic that's uniquely mine. I want to make something that looks like I created it. It's my style. It doesn't look like a style that you can really pinpoint, but I want it to have a manga feel. I know that sounds so stupid out loud, but it's like I want to make a comic that sort of, I don't know, it's entertaining for people to read, and it makes people feel the way that I felt reading the comic books that I liked growing up as a kid. And I like stuff like the strongest mental pictures of comic books that I can remember as a kid is reading like X-Men comic books when I was real small, and reading Dragon Ball Z manga as I got a little older. I think around the age of like 11, 12, I started reading Dragon Ball Z. Those are the earliest form of comic books that I could ever remember, and I want to create that sort of feel in what I'm making now. Also, as you can see in the video in the background of me just working on just landscapes and environments and whatnot, I'm doing this in black and white. The reasoning behind this is I want my work to be cheaper when I reproduce it. While I would like to make my comic in color, like I said, I want it to have a manga feel, that black and white manga feel. I sort of love that, or that black and white or grayscale comic book feel I really like. And I don't know why I feel like that may complement my work more. It may or may not, I don't know. And this is just a test. I may end up going back and coloring this just to see how it looks in terms of how this looks in contrast to looking at it in color. I think that'll sort of dictate a lot of where I sort of aim going forward, because I'm still trying to flesh all this stuff out in my mind before I start. But I do want to have cheaper work when I actually put this in print form down the line, and it'll be much more affordable for people if it's in black and white as opposed to being in full color. But like I said, this is just things to think of down the line. I may end up doing this in color anyways. I have no idea at the moment. It's very possible that this could still end up being in color at some point in time. So who knows? I'll toy with that later on. These are just questions that I'm toying around and playing around with now before I actually start making the comic itself and making pages. And I think it's so weird. It's been so long since I've done any of these things. These are like real questions that we have to ask ourselves as comic book creators sometimes. Like, what type of feel are we going for? What do we want the audience to feel when we're making our works? Even down to, like I just said, like, do you want your comic to be in black and white, or do you want it to be in color? And how will that change your comic? Like I said, I'm going for a feel of something over the top like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Well, that would resonate a lot more in color than it would in black and white. So it's like, heck, I got questions that I need to ask myself here. So like I said, this is a work in progress. That's why I experiment at this stage rather than actually making the comic and deciding on the fly, like, hey, maybe I should start doing this. Which is what I did with my first webcomic, Shadow Assassins. And I don't want to do that again, where chapter 1 is in black and white and the rest of it is in color. As far as this actual background is concerned, this was I've never actually done a landscape drawing or painting like this before. Well, this is a drawing, this isn't a painting. If I did this the way I do most environmental digital paintings, this would be a lot simpler. Because I just paint layers on layers on layers and sort of paint each object going forward from the furthest thing towards the horizon and just make my way towards the camera, in a sense. Because I actually am doing this for the sake of a comic book, I'm trying to get in the habit of drawing more things as opposed to painting it. That was the style I used for Infinite Uppercut. I don't necessarily want to do that again here. So that's why, like I said, just environment practice. That's why this image that you can see in the background is being worked on. But it's like not working in the normal manner that I do things or how I organize it when I work, and sort of having to look at each piece of the picture and go, okay, I didn't do this correctly, or this needs a little bit shading, or there should be a shadow right here. It's different. It's different, but it's fun at the same time. And I like the fact that because I've done so much painting of environments now, I have a better idea and feel for this. I feel more confident doing environments now than I did when I made Shadow Assassins, which I had no confidence in because I didn't really do landscape and I didn't really draw environments like talking about it. So I didn't do it, and so it showed up in my comic as such. My environments look like just crap, and I don't want that to happen a second time. So, which I feel like I did a much better job handling environments in Infinite Uppercut than I did in any of my previous works. And like I said, that just came from building confidence to draw more environments, as you've seen on this channel. I just went on a tear for like a couple years where I just kept drawing video game backgrounds, especially fighting game ones, which also worked wonders in me doing environments and backgrounds for Infinite Uppercut. So yeah, I just feel a lot better about working on this comic and stuff like this picture than I ever have before. And there's a lesson in that too, because being honest, I was just afraid. Like, it was just fear. I had no confidence in drawing environments, so I just didn't do them. And when I made my comic book, it's like that's now posing a problem because my environments in the comic look like just garbage because I'm in no practice of working on it. So I had to just overcome the fear of working on environments by forcing myself to do them. And now I feel better about just making the stuff in my webcomics now. But that's all. Like I said, recently just this and just general world building is all I've been doing in the last couple of weeks. Like I said, which is why I haven't had a video to post recently on the channel. And the one video that I did make, I couldn't possibly upload that just because the sound was so bad. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to know what you all's approaches to actually making backgrounds and environments in your comics are, or how you just think about and approach environments in general. Like I said, my old school method was to make an environment so I knew what everything looked like and just have like stock imagery to be able to use in different panels if need be later on in my comic. I still plan on doing that here, just for full disclosure. I don't know, I just really want to get in the habit of drawing more in my backgrounds and more details than I have before. Just small things to grow so I don't feel like I'm stagnant or regressing as an artist. But in any event, that's all I have for today. You all have a good one, and I'm out.